Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel. And in this one we have Nocturne. Look at him showing up all in Eternum Nocturne. I used to play that while leveling to level 30 back end of 2013. Learning how to jungle, learning how to double press R to actually make it work. And the thing with these classical junglers, Vi, Nocturne and what have you, you just don't see them in Hyelo. They just don't have the kits to really dominate at that level. And a lot of that is connected specifically to the nature of modern kits, as well as the fact that some of these champions really are stat check heavy. If they can get really fed and fly at you like this one, then they're, very dangerous and scary for ADCs. But most of the time, Nocturne, as I say in Best Junglers, is like a flying pigeon. He just flies into you and you cage him. That would be the monetizable way of saying you blow him up. And so the runes on your screen now electrocute for maximum damage. You would have seen on the thumbnail, crit turn is what we're actually running. However, the theme of this video really is about how do we actually go about being farming junglers in the current meta landscape and the experienced effects on that and the playstyle. Now, I'll be honest with you, it's not as exciting. That's why we're going to speed through some of the farming sections because look, hey, we start on the blue buff. We get a leash, we go about our business. Bot lane is there, Evelyn is basically doing solo. You don't really have anything to track her whatsoever. She could be on the Raptor, she could be on the red, but you get your leash and you go about your business. This ward is crucial. We must always place this as a farming jungler. If you're against a Graves, a Lee Sin, a Shaka, I would place it, maybe on the red buff or in the bush at 1 minute just to make sure if there's any nonsense going about that you can detect it and see it, because those champions will simply, map mobility over the wall and you take this. As a classical jungler, you don't have it. Evelyn, of course, is not as much of a threat as those champions whatsoever, but at least if she tries some kind of vertical jungling, you can be aware of it. Now, as you saw, we saw, the jungler didn't, she started on the blue side and went down. There's also a nice ward here placed late by the Tristana. So, this is where the Nocturne gets a little bit irresponsible. If you're going to do your Raptor Pit camp, and you don't know if you've been warded or if the mid lane is sort of floated up late and warded, don't walk out. Keep your power thing as hidden as possible, because the one threat that the Evelyn had is as well, that the Nocturne started here. Most likely going to do a 3 camp, but if you don't have lane prio, in this situation, the Evelyn does, she's safe, maybe you're looking at an early invade onto your red buff if they know you start at blue. Now, obviously in this game that isn't the case, right? But we don't want the Evelyn to know exactly what your clear plans are and exactly what your game plan is or where you are, especially as a farming jungler where it's really easy to track AFK farming. In the video I just released on the main channel, we saw Karthus start here, and basically you could track every subsequent clear and make moves around that. The Skarner in that game is a ganking jungler. Yes, Skarner can farm, but looking more for action, really wasted that opportunity. Here Nocturne isn't Evelyn. So let's not give this away by moving out of the Raptor Pit area into this sort of thing where there you go. Boom. He was fine up until that moment. As soon as he did this, and then he did it again, and he's sort of chilling, this is seen, you see the question marks, it's wasted. Now, if the Evelyn or anyone on the team is paying attention, what you want to do is track this, at around 2:30, you should see him on the Raptor Pit. You should be watching this. So what you can see when he started it is that the baby Raptor moves. You don't see the Nocturne show up on the minimap, but if you're looking at this spot on the map, what I mean is this, you will see the Raptor move. Watch. There you go. This wasn't actually noticed by anyone, and so it's not until the Nocturne gets lazy with his power thing and his greed that he's revealed. So now you know what they're doing, you don't exactly know what she's doing. Right. Off we go, do our red buff. Standard as we expect, we have prio from the Gnar lane. Tristana was shoving in, still is. Bottom lane has prio as well, so you know what, as a farming jungler in this situation, as the Nocturne, I'm happy with this. I pass to the side, which is going to have prio, which gives me the flexibility to go and do things that I want to do against another farming jungler, which we'll see in a second. It also means my laners are safe against themselves. Always good also. So we do our Grump here, Krugs, we get level 3, right? And now you see the Evelyn is pinging mid lane. Now obviously we, as the Nocturne, don't see this, but I'm pretty sure at this point, by doing a 6 camp and seeing the top crab available, Evelyn has done the exact same thing. So she's already done the crab, the Nocturne still has yet to engage his, obviously Evelyn is faster, and it gets spoiled by the Varus, thank you very much. You have to look at the mid lane at the same time. She's trying to cheese this. Double AD mid. I thought ADCs were weak, guys. Does anyone actually think that anymore? Getting poked down by the Varus. What happens here? Okay, and... That's just bad by the Tristana. Absolutely horrific. The Evelyn's now shadowing. You have to be very careful here as the red team. You expect this kind of play. Don't get... There you go. Okay. It's a little too risky to actually go for that. The Nocturne now does the crab. And this is the importance of showing. From the Evelyn's point of view, the Nocturne has a few choices now. Once doing this, he can reset back to base and simply repeat the process. We want level 6, crucial. Evelyn, from the Nocturne's perspective, will do the same thing. Go back to base and do this. So which jungler is going to take the bets that hold up, why don't I stick around, and in 4 minutes go and take that tier 2 Grump and put a deep ward? The Nocturne makes that play. You saw the Yorick here kind of think, okay, listen, I'm being shoved in. This guy just turned mega toy. We could be dove. I don't see it really happening with the wave in this position. The Nocturne would waste way too much time. He's not an Elise. He's not a Rek'Sai. He's not a Lee Sin. The Nocturne here bites a bullet and says, I'm going to take your Grump. The Evelyn could have done that. The issue being here that your mid laner was dead. And even though Varus is low, the bot lane now is in a little bit better position for the red team because they haven't gone back to base, whereas the blue team had already gone back to base during that time frame. Which means the Evelyn, if she decided, hey, let me go take this tier 2 Grump, very likely could be collapsed upon by everyone. Especially if Nocturne was looking to hard reset quickly, especially if this bottom lane had warded, and, you know, even though they haven't gone back to base yet, the wave here is not able to be dealt with by your team. You know, the Draven and the Nami reset, they get some itemizations, and they're going to deal with this wave. They're not going to be able to collapse on you here. So the Evelyn has to go back to base. The Nocturne knows all of this. Deep ward, take your Grump. This is my Grump now. And what you can do is you can hit the plant as you leave, just to see where she is. Or you can just go back to base like an alpha. Fine. Good move. Nice. Little sneak away. Stifles level 6, which is most crucial. Tristana roams up to the top lane here, as Tristanas like to do. That's unfortunate, actually. Doesn't matter. Doesn't affect our game plan as a farming jungler. We know that the Evelyn now, because of that early action, sequenced top to bottom. Juicing the mid lane. Getting some of that experience back from the lost Grump. And now she's sequencing up. And you saw the pings come through here by the Evelyn, pinging out that the Nocturne is sequencing up. So the Nocturne now has a decision. There's a vortex of possibilities. So Karthus says, right, let me go topside and sequence. So does a Nocturne. So does any farming jungler. And I highlighted it here, and hopefully you said, oh, but wait a second, Draven's going back to base. On this ward. Okay. That's a free Drake. That's an absolute free Drake. It's beautiful. It's absolutely great. The bot timing here, the recognition immediately. Evelyn sequencing down. She just held mid lane. She's going to the Raptor camp. The Draven's going back in a ward. That's an objective. It's just great map recognition, and you must do this as a farming jungler. Now, what is Evelyn going to do about this? Nothing. She has to go ahead and do the Krugs and look to gank something here on the bottom lane. But not quite level 6, so she's going back here, trying to leech a little bit. Come on, come on. There we go, level 6. We get the Drake. You know that this guy will not be level 6 from that. It's unlikely. So let's make an Evelyn play. That's silly by the Rakan. That's just silly. You should not really be in that position. The Nocturne rotates though, so over chasing is not wise. And I just rewound 5 seconds because I didn't mean to say over chase from the blue team. I meant to say don't overcommit. Definitely 100%. You don't want to make sure you putting yourselves in a bad situation trying to kill both bottom laners, specifically because you know the Nocturne is in the area. However, this coming through is huge. The top laner has TP advantage, and it's just a great move. Onto the deep minion, and they don't see it. You see, they saw tunnel vision. They easily had enough time to leave. So the over chasing here, on one hand, yes, you can chase down the misfortune. Don't overcommit, but you can burn flashes. Be very wary of the Nocturne. However, the Nocturne must also not be too overzealous in trying to turn a 2v3. You don't win that currently. The bottom lane here has to keep an eye out for this kind of play. No one noticed. And now the Gnar has a nice TP flank. Jump in, ult, misfortune of the wall, stunned, dead. Very well played by the Nerf. A little overzealous by the blue bottom lane there. And the Nocturne had to lose his flash instead of being a bit more patient. But overall, great play by the top. Top laners say they have no map impact. It's not true. Not true at all. Now, objective secured on the Flex of Knowledge and map awareness. It's great. We just had a lot of fights bottom lane and we've just hit level 6. So you're looking to make a strong play with that ultimate. Now, Misfortune is shilling in the base. Just casual AFK there. The Nocturne now has itemization spikes that he wants to get, alright? Serrated Dirk plus 2 long swords, and he's ignoring the fact that his red buff was up, because the thing is here, if you go and take your red now, you're wasting the duration of that red buff, and you're wasting the gold in your pocket that you really need to spend so that when you ult, you have maximum impact. So it's a little bit of a shift in ideology from a ganking jungler, with someone who has high base numbers where you could afford to stay out, have that extended sequence. As a farming jungler, we're really looking to make sure that ultimate hits as hard as it possibly can. I mean, think about it as a fiddle thing as well. Naturally, mid lane is always a good option for you. Now, what's interesting here is that was deep watered already, so they've spotted him. Now, his ability to track the Evelyn here will become much more difficult without control wards, much more difficult without deep wards. Her camouflage, her kit nature, her pick nature just makes things difficult to track. And usually, you'll see her through subtle cues when she sort of activates her Q trying to gank and things like this. So you got to keep your eye out on the minimap for anything that Evelyn might give away. In this case, though, we're focused on using our ultimate. Tristana. Oh, baby, give me that vision. And thank you for saving my life. Alright, cool. Yeah, right emote. Great. Not a problem. Now, at this point, you could go ahead and do your Krugs. There's a fight in the bottom lane. We click to watch this. We click to watch it. We're always looking to make sure we can see what spells are burned. And Evelyn's diving. There you go. There's your confirmation. And it should be double. Boom. Well done by the Evelyn. Nice pose as well. This is because we know she shifts down. She got 6. She used her ult. She's just going to do the same thing again. Bottom lane is the chosen lane to camp. The Nocturne's the one who flexed to sequencing to make sure he could get an opportunistic objective so that he could gank mid lane as well. Now, the Yorick is using his prior to float on down into the river and say, listen, I want your crab, but you know everyone's bottom side or dead. Therefore, free scuttle. Now, you could stick around here for the Herald. I think that's something we can definitely think about. But because we know that the Evelyn is here, we're getting pings from our mid laner. We knew she dove bottom lane. And we know that Tristana is coming back to base. And the Yorick just showed us. I understand the hesitance to actually go and secure that, although I think I would try and pull the knot to actually try. But by doing that, by fighting in the river, we have reversed our sequencing, right? We were doing this. Dragon. Funny fight. Go back. Finish this camp. Reset. Take our red. Use it on the mid lane. Secure the neutral crab. See the Evelyn bottom line. And now this is respawned. This is respawned, and we can just loop like this, if we so choose. We're playing around the ultimate here. And we're choosing to give up the crab. The giant void beetle. Nami roam. So we can focus on our sequencing, itemization spikes, and the second dragon, which will be spawning thusly. Okay? That's important here. If you do the Herald, you're losing the dragon. It's also something I should have noted immediately. But why would you want to trade your Dragon Soul win condition when you have total control over this? And your ult will be up with Noon Quiver and a Serrated Dirk. And if Evelyn is doing this on repeat, you know that with your ult up, even if she's not there, you get a double kill. And if she is there, you can counter gank it. So let's go. Well played. Nice, Rakan. Careful, careful, careful. Okay, good. He got the fear off. He lives. Rakan shields. Good counter gank. Very close. A little bit unlucky for the Evelyn that Misfortune didn't get anything. But with the Tristana roam, getting caution pings. You must be careful. You see her back in mid lane. Just keep an eye out for it, but... Okay. That happens to me too. You see the time and you think, Grump is up. And it isn't. Then you use a spell. Then you're sad. Now... You could go and do the dragon, but because they're completely overcommitting to this wave, trying to get plates and chase down the Misfortune, they're getting greedy because of all the attention from the Evelyn. Nice scam by the Rakan. Play around vision control, and then you should be able to do this as well. If he flashes, you flash with the tether. Yeah, there you go. Good night. Good night, sweet Raven Prince. Don't overcommit for a dive. You know Evelyn could very easily just go straight here with the Tristana. You don't want to end up in a situation where the Evelyn reverses her sequencing as well, fights you on the dragon, and you're doomed. She's a big question mark. I think Evelyn's a big question mark here. Right? Just run away. Yeah. Exactly. There you go. The mind games. Oh, she's sequencing down. Yeah, but you're overcommitting low. She's just gonna come straight back bottom lane, just like the Nocturne. Wait for misfortune. Okay, you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? Very subtle. That's why I'm staring at the minimap. You gotta stare at it. Watch from the red team's perspective. Well, not that subtle, actually. I was just going really fast. It's this that I'm showing. Maybe you fight a lot, and you don't see her walk over the control ward. But there's an extension of vision before her passive comes back up. This is what I saw. You know, because obviously in real time you're not going 8 times speed, 4 times speed, so it's easier to notice. But as soon as she does a cam, and even if you have a ward here, like if she does Raptors and you have a ward here, she's gonna walk this direction, you'll see her in the spot. It's the same thing, you know? Like if she hit one minion in the bush and then ran up, you have to wait for the passive. So for Evelyn's, it's very important that you mislead with your passive. Because now you're saying, all right, I'm gonna go do the Herald, okay? But this bit of information, knowing that the red team's bottom lane is coming back, means you go and give away that second dragon, which I think at this point is a conscious trade. Except we're not even going for it. So that little bit of information from the Evelyn and the Draven have given them 2 dragons, and that's so subtle, isn't it? It's really nice and easy. Because at this point now, you know that the Evelyn went upside. You know she probably has done this, and she might try and contest you on your red buff here. So you have to be very cautious if you're the Nocturne. Alright? Ah, we see it, we see it, we see it. Yorick. Tristana. Bottom lane. Okay, you have it. Goodbye. Goodbye. In reality, could have stayed. The Evelyn knew that at this point, if she goes and tries to fight that out and take it, if anyone on the red team comes and collapses, he's doomed because it's an invade. The Nocturne thinks the same thing, so gives it up. Quite funny. He's even pinging it, you know? He doesn't even go back to the top side. He's like, all right, I give it up. Now the Varus actually roams. Evelyn reverses field back to the bottom lane again. We can rewind it here very quickly. You see he gets the kill from a nice roam. Now goes tower diving. And the thing is, the Tristana is going... Beautiful ult. The Tristana is going to shove this. Okay, there's no plates anymore. So what you can do is you can hold it 100% while you have bottom lane prio. As we said, the Evelyn reverses field straight back to the bottom lane again. Right? But if she walks over a ward... Get ulted. And obliterated. I mean, that's just clean. The Twitch... What's this guy's name? Varus. It's the name. It's Skillshot's Twitch name is IGN. The Varus gets another kill. That's 3 kills on the bottom lane. So the pressure mid lane, the pressure on the dragons really creates an environment where your mid laner can do these things, and you get to absorb some of this juicy, fresh minion experience and take a tower, you know? And even if you lose the Herald to the Yorick, I mean, you know, no one's really giving it up. Here, the reason for ignoring this is just to make sure you take this and get out. I still think a little greedy knowing the Nami's mid. Get out, get out, get out, get out. Because Evelyn's awake, everyone's awake, you want to be careful. Ultimate Hunter, as you saw in the runes, will help with this kind of phase of the game. Now, at this point, everything has gone very well. You know, it's a low-scoring game, really, in terms of kills. Both farming junglers looking with huge ultimate spikes. The Evelyn's going to become a super question mark as the game goes on and people start shuffling around the map. So you have to be very cautious about where you path, why you path, and how you path in order to not be randomly obliterated. Like this. You know, but she's behind, which is great. It's exactly what you want from a Tristana. If a Tristana like that, you get assassinated. She's not a marksman. She's an assassin. TP in from the Yorick here, so we're thinking, okay, let's just ult gank that. Never been easier in my life. Alright. Again, Evelyn's a big question mark. That's why I'm not switching the vision. Unless you get sort of visual confirmation on a kill or a control ward, you don't actually know where she could be trapping you. Here, I'd anticipate something mid lane. Watch the top lane here. Nami shows top side. And there's Evelyn. Right? Nocturne went back to base. And this is the threat of it. This is why you have to be so careful around this part of the game. Really makes things difficult for you. Keep farming. Don't worry about it. We're playing around the third dragon. Give the blue to the Varus if he's doing a good job. You get a B emote, which is big seal of approval. Now trap. Make sure you have total vision control. And you can sit in bushes, so when the Evelyn decides to sneak something on you, you actually get the drop on her. And grouping together and spamming those control words is absolutely huge. We've got our Gale Force and Collector. They're trying to kill our Varus here, so Nocturne is ulting for the darkness. Good job not going in. It just adds a little bit of a threat, defensive threat, the ult, but don't, as an assassin, specifically a crit turn, ult it to 4 people. You're not going to do anything. Because you are squishy, as you can see. Gnar rotates in, waiting for Mega. Nice Gnar ult. Nice Rakan run over people. W. Dance and die. I mean, that's it. Everything you do in the first 15 to 18 minutes sets the foundation for what just happened. Everything. And the top lane gank here, even though the Gnar died, you gave him pressure, you gave him stuff. He made his own macro play to get himself fed. They managed to kill the Varus, the big damage poke CC damage guy. Whatever you want to call him. The flank here is brilliant, and the nice peel by the Gnar, overcommitment there by the Tristana, as you would expect. And now you have numbers to basically CC and stop the Evelyn doing anything. And the fact that she's a down a level, and she went Night Harvester here, not always a fan. Kind of useful against very heavy damage comes obviously having the HP, Night Harvester, Rocker Belt, what have you. But yeah, that looked excellent game. Nice cadence for farming jungle. If you're against another one, and you have such a game-changing ultimate, and you use these abilities to sort of get crucial objectives, you're looking at a nice dominating win. Now, we talked recently about closing our games. I don't want to keep always talking about the same things when it's a heavy snowballing game. It's not really the most interesting game review when teams get so far ahead and have to close out like this. Just be very careful when you make these picks, because look, the Gale Force, right? I mean, it's close, but Evelyn, and you give her 1,000 gold. That's where you start to lose things. Now, the crit turn thing, I'm not going to really get in on. I still think there are better build paths, and I'll leave those to you to research. Your favorite high elo challenger Nocturnes, not many of them, and your win rates, you know, if you like your lethalities and things like this. Edge of Night, GA, do really good into, well, not with that much AP, but the Draven and the Tristana mid, like, that's a lot of AD, right? So the HP for the Evelyn threat and the shield gives you some bonus resistance from the damage, and the GA gives you some armor. And of course, these situations where you can live, use your sort of kit to actually survive and get out. Either way, be very careful in those situations. Now, in this time, as I always tell you, make sure you're farming while your team is resetting. But if your team is grouping here and you see someone tilt splitting, don't go and do your top side. Way too many times, junglers. You go do your top sides. Why? Let's float on down here. There's an overcommitment on the bot side. Gnar ult. Dive on in. Okay, you didn't even get the assists because you're greedy for the kills. You get trapped in the Yorick Sphere of Death. Whoopsie daisy, over the wall we go. Dead. Good. Perfect. Your team is grouping together using their team fight, and guess what? This happens in many elos. People do recognize, hey, we can fight this because we have the kit advantage. And specifically when they're winning and everyone's in a good mood, I think it matters the most. You know. I mean, here, like, this is just overcommitments. You know, Evelyn's a question mark, as we said. You don't want to push too far here in case she's sort of floating around in the area. Could be flanking. You don't actually know. Let's see where she actually is. Okay, in base. But I guess that's my point, right? You never know. This is free soul. Don't overpush unless everyone's dead, but if everyone's dead, they're fine. They can do this. You can go get the dragon together. There's a question mark, but she's so far behind it doesn't matter. And Rakan is horrible for Evelyn. Trust me on that one. No Evelyn main enjoys a Rakan type champion, a Lulu and so on. Just makes things so difficult. And once you've done the dragon and so on, just to cut ahead, don't be without your team against this kind of comp. As soon as they make a pick, as soon as you put yourself in a bad situation, the Evelyn will kill you. 100%. Hey, why? Why? Wait for the exhaust to expire before you ult. Even then, still dies. I mean, that's the lead. But like, they're both dead now. So that's where the Baron goes, you know? That's where the Baron goes. And then that's what's unfortunate. It just stalls the inevitable victory, just giving them some kind of hope. In a low elo game, you know, you might actually throw it. Ah, on vision. And that'll do it. And that'll do it. Yeah, straight down the mid lane. So there you go, farming junglers, how to look at the map and how to use advantages given to you by the map. Question mark champions like Evelyn can really be difficult to handle, so keep your wards up, keep your brains about you, make sure you're sequencing well and taking those objectives when given. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you are able to enjoy and learn something, and as always, I will see you all in the next video.